Hello, good morning and welcome to the Aviation Management Conference as hosted by Amsterdam University of Applied Sciences. It's my honor to address you today. My name is Job. I am the Safety Officer of Air Traffic Control the Netherlands, also known as LVNL, and we have Schiphol as our main base. The first chart I would like to show you is the Johns Hopkins University chart of the plague. Indeed, it is a plague. It is a worldwide pandemic. The moment I show this chart, I know it is out of date. Please move over to the Johns Hopkins University site to find out how the pandemic is spreading and where it is not spreading. Certainly in Europe, it is a big problem. Our friends of Eurocontrol will show you the latest numbers. Compared to 2019, we are easily of 30% or less of the original traffic levels in 2019, and that is absolutely devastating. In the office, we have serious office limitations not to come to work when you are showing symptoms of illness, excessive hand hygiene, we wash our hands twice per hour, limited or no visitors, we try to keep 1.5 meter distance even in meeting rooms, which means we had to enlarge the meeting rooms by connecting two together. We have one-way corridors and stairs. There are maximum 2 persons in the elevator, and on the picture you can show that our office looks like a bloody airport nowadays with all these lines and signs to follow. This is a chart of the Schiphol traffic. As you can see, it falls off dramatically in week 12 and 13. Basically wasted away all our income that we were dependent upon to provide the service. There was a slight pickup in the summer when air travel picked up because there were no really restrictions and lots of people went on to holidays, and then it dropped off again to a very meager less than 40% of what we were used to by the end of last year, 2020. One of the problems is, where do we leave those bloody aircraft? The runways have been parked to the fullest. This is an image of Schiphol Airport, but I'm sure you'll be familiar with situations at other international airports where they can find almost no space anymore to park the aircraft as they are not flying in the air, and that is a serious logistical issue. For our staff, although that we discovered that working from home is seriously possible, and the programs that we use as WhatsApp or WebEx or GoToMeeting or Zoom or what have you, Google Hangouts, you can have actually quite fruitful and effective meetings. You save a lot of travel time. It is amazingly easy to pluck somebody you want to talk to out of the sky and wizardry him or her on your screen and talk to him or her. That's fantastic. The most heard phrases, though, are "you are still muted." I can see your mouth moving, but I can't hear you. I have another call in 5. Yes, me too. And some people say, well, we hope we can meet physically very soon. We're not allowed to say that, as meeting physically has wild connotations of sex, orgies, or otherwise, and we can't have that. So we replace that. We hope we can drink coffee together soon. Our operational air traffic controllers have challenges to stay current because of the low traffic levels and to stay within the limits of their license. As well as in the rest of Europe, our CAA have granted some extensions to the validity of the licenses so we can keep operating. On-the-job opportunities in the tower or at the ACC center or approach center have become limited, if not scarce, because the low traffic numbers do not allow realistic traffic scenarios to be presented to our student controllers. On the other hand, the simulators are extremely busy. They are used almost 24 hours a day permanently, and those are very good to test operational scenarios, contingency scenarios, but also in training and education of ab initio controllers and student controllers to try to achieve their license and endorsements. Staff challenges that are not working as operational controllers We are as obliged to work from home as much as possible. It can get difficult to separate work from family life. You may not have enough space. Kids may be crawling over your lap or over your laptop or your work. There is, of course, some lack of privacy. It's difficult to have a separate private phone conversation. People sometimes work too much from 8 in the morning till 8 in the evening without even noticing. There can be a feeling of becoming isolated. Self-discipline and self-management can be a tough issue, and there is of course the occasional technological hiccup where people say, could you please switch off your image or video to save some bandwidth, to see if we can still meet each other. And quite often some time is lost at the beginning of the meeting to try to get it all to work. Some people really enjoyed some aspects of this working from home, but that will not say that we all do. Statistics have shown that there is as much as a 40% increase in domestic violence, and this is not only the low income, ill-educated, etc., and it's also not just the physical violence that you might think about. It's also the mental violence or abuse between partners when they are sitting in the same home, which is also their office, for a full day without having the office environment or their colleagues for some relaxation and relativity. And the stress disorders related to the pandemic can be a serious issue, and we need to be aware of that. They can be induced by the home environment or other reasons or non-abilities to be able to cope with the unusual situation. Managers must be very aware of the psychological weak signals that staff can display, and hopefully they come forward themselves. But managers don't always know what to do or where to look for help. And very often the human resource department doesn't know either. Some form of information or training should be given to managers, and to help them, HR could provide a list of internal and external resources for managers, like peer support, in-house psychological support, a doctor, whatever. It's not that difficult, but it must be arranged. Meanwhile, controllers, I told you already, they have very few traffic patterns to handle. And one of the issues that looms with this pandemic is the issue of underload. I won't call it a bore out, because that is not the issue. It is truly an issue of underload, where there's just not enough traffic to stay focused and stay sharp, which is extremely important in this kind of job. So we've talked with them, we hung up some posters. There are small work groups to try to discuss within each other what to do about it and how you can actually combat the underloom in various ways. Not so for some of the office staff. We seem to be incredibly busy in the office. I don't really understand how that is possible with just half the traffic. But one of the reasons is that operational experts that we use from the controllers suddenly have become readily available. And lots of projects that are relying on those expert inputs now jumped forward. So this leads actually to more ATM functional changes, and therefore more safety cases and more demonstrations to the inspectorate or the CAA that the change is actually provided safely. A little example which is slightly comical. Quite directly after the COVID-19 outbreak, we've placed plastic screens between the operator positions in some of the towers and some of the approach and ACC units. That is of course to protect the people from infections, but very quickly questions arose as to its efficacy and the operational hindrance. In some of the towers the image was mirrored, and it seems that aircraft were coming from the other way. And we discovered we hadn't really built a safety case beforehand, whilst this could be classified as an ATM operational change. So we built up a separate safety argument for that, and we showed the screens as a potential hazard, and the benefits did not really outweigh the drawbacks, and as a result the screens have been removed again. I was going to tell you about the number of incident reports that we receive. I can't show a graphic of that to you in this forum, but take it for that this traffic statistics is equally similar to the incident reports and the number of incident reports that we have received. There is a serious drop down, and you might think you are very safe because of the few amount of reports, but of course we will keep a sharp eye on that. And of course it is not the amount of reports, but it's the amount of reports to the ratio of the traffic that we're handling. But seriously, a significant decline was seen in the number of incident reports that we received. Now, at some stage, we are going to prepare ourselves to return to normal, whatever the new normal is, and we need to make sure that we are aware of what we have lost in our competencies and in our abilities. So we need to make sure that we understand what we need to learn or train again. What changes have taken place during the crisis? There certainly are many, and we need to ensure that everybody understands them and has been appropriately trained for that. And how can we restart or rebuild back to normal, being demonstrably safe in the view of the CAA and ourselves, of course. And what I'll show you is a huge bow tie analysis that has been used by us to make us aware of all the threats that can be present and the barriers and safeguards that we need to put in place. Do machines still work? Certainly physical machines. Are procedures changed or have they not changed? Is the proficiency of the air traffic controller and their assistants still up to snuff? Is the security that we have, certainly the cyber security, is that still okay? Certainly that's an area that has not sit still over the past months. Do we still need to socially distance from each other? The airline schedules might have changed. Some airlines might not even exist anymore. Our operational routines may have changed in handling the traffic. There could be, because of the ill placement of aircraft across the airport, there could be an excessive TOW activity during that restart. We might see a sudden increase in VFR traffic as private pilots decide to maintain their abilities to fly. And we need to make sure that the adjacent centres around us are still working to the same procedures, or if these procedures have changed, we are aware of it and have changed accordingly. I am confident that the air traffic and the travel patterns will return eventually, but we don't know why. What we do know is that in the past 4 crises that we can actually remember this short, the global financial crisis 2008, 9/11 of course, the Gulf War and the oil crisis in the end of the 70s, somehow air traffic always came back to its original level. So if we look at the predictions of our friends from Eurocontrol, even in the optimistic scenario where a vaccine is available in 2021 and we are vaccinating as we speak, it might take as long as 2023 or even 2024 before we have fully built up back to 2019 levels. That is a serious worry in terms of our proficiency, our investments, and our ability to innovate further as a service to the traveling public. So, in summary, I think our aviation sector is hit exceptionally hard. The struggle for sustainability has become the struggle for survival, even for ANSPs as critical infrastructure. I am confident that the traffic levels will return to normal, but we don't know what the new normal will be, as some of our habits of meeting will have changed. Recovery could take up to 4 years, but we still will keep the airspace safe with innovations, analysis, safety cases, and a bit of hard work. And finally, a word to our student organizers. Thank you again for the opportunity. It's great work you're doing. I know the future looks tough, but stay focused and stay safe on your work. And I'm sure and confident that in the near future, we will definitely need you. Thank you very much.